January thaw? I don't think so. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for The Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog. It is vlog number 440 for January the 19th, 2026. So, what's happening? What's going on? Well, it's been a snowy week for most of it, and we've got a lot of snow. We'll come back to that in a minute. But what have I been working on? Well, when it's snowing out and you're inside nice and warm and cozy, it's a great time to get caught up on some projects, and that's what I did this week. Now, I'll talk about these in a little bit more detail tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter, but this is a little sneaky peek of them. This mess is an orphan block quilt, and it is as it says. These were all orphan blocks. I just threw them together and made this quilt. But I have now, it's been hanging out in the Lucy room for a while now, for several months, and I finally got around to quilting it. And we'll talk about the trials and errors, whoa, new word, trials and errors of doing this kind of quilt tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. And we'll also talk in more detail about this one, which actually was a reject quilt, because after I got the top all done, I realized I had made a major mistake in this quilt, which I'll talk about again tomorrow, but I didn't want to just throw it away. So I decided, hey, what the heck? It's not really a major quilt problem, and it makes the quilt somewhat unique. So this one I did quilt as well, and it's done and out of my hair. Now, there were a couple of other quilts that I also got finished last week, which I'm not showing you here because I've shown them before. And so I do not have any UFOs at this point in time, which is amazing because it's been several years since I was able to say that. Okay, so let's move on to what I've been watching on YouTube this week. And I am absolutely fascinated with modern technology and gadgets. I always have been. And of course, every year there's something called the CES in Las Vegas, which stands for the Consumer Electronics Show. And they have all the newest and the best and prototypes of things to come. And of course, this year it's all about AI. So if you're interested in that kind of thing and want to keep up, then you're going to want to check out some of these videos. But here's my review of that. This week's YouTube clip is actually made up of a whole bunch of clips right now that have flooded YouTube, and that's the best of the CES 2026 show, and that's the Consumer Electronics Show that's held every year in Las Vegas. And they showcase all the latest products, latest electronic equipment, robots, smart homes, you name it, it's there. And I love watching these because I love gadgets. And if you are like me and you really love gadgets, then you need to see this. In fact, you probably already are aware of this. But there are so many fascinating things, and I did not put a link in the show notes for this because all you need to do is go up to your search bar once you're in YouTube and just put in CES 2026, and you're going to come up with all kinds of reviews of all of the latest products that are there. You can spend a whole day watching all of these if it's so desire to do so. But yeah, there is amazing things coming with tech. And of course, this year, they're really focusing heavily upon AI development in all of these smart products. So if you want to see what's trending, if you want to know what's new in the world of electronic gadgets, then check out the various videos that are on YouTube about the CES show for 2026. Okay. So you're not going to find a link for that particular video, as I already mentioned, because there's a whole series of videos. So all you need to do is do a search on CES 2026, and you're going to find hours, literally hours of videos about the show. And it's a huge show. Okay, so you will find a link, though, in the resource section for Sewing with Stephen on Wednesdays, as per usual. And you will also find various links for my friends' channels, and you will find links to the past week's videos as well. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on with the weather outside. Oh, I just realized something. there was one more thing I wanted to show you, and I don't know how I forgot this. So let's back up for just a second. My Quilt of Valor. Yeah, I almost have the top done. Now, this one I have been designing for myself, and there have been some real problems. Quilt Math Hard. Again, we'll talk about this on the Idiot Quilter tomorrow. I'm going to put one more row all the way around, another border, a smaller border, and the top is done and I can get it on Lucy. And we'll talk about my plans for this quilt and for the pattern and everything like that, because it is my own pattern, again tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. All right, now let's get back on track here to what it's looking like outside. And by the looks of things, I think I have the wrong picture up here, because I don't think that's today. Let me just check. Nope, that is the right picture. That's the problem when you take pictures of snow. They all look the same. But yeah, it looks like we had more snow last night. Yeah, after we went to bed. So there's some shoveling involved here. And I'll have to see how it is for walking. Didn't realize it had done that in the night again. Okay, well, winter in Canada, as I've said before. And speaking of which, what's the temperature? Well, right now the temperature is -8 degrees. In fact, it's getting colder, because when I got up this morning, it was -7 degrees Celsius. Now it's -8. Says the high, though, is going to be a -5, so it is supposed to warm up if 3 degrees, still way below zero, is warming up. And what's in the forecast? Nothing. There's nothing today in the forecast, nor tomorrow. And looking ahead, and I do want to look ahead to Thursday, Friday, those look cold, but clear, as in no precipitation, which is good because we're off to Toronto. More about that in a few minutes later this week. And it'd be nice if the weather is nice. Oh, and it also says with the wind chill factor that it's not only is it -8, but it feels like -13. Okay, when I go out for my walk, I'm going to need to bundle up. So, yes, the Christmas lights are still up. I kind of like them, though. So I'm not complaining about that. But it might be time to remove the candy canes and the suckers, although they're getting kind of buried under the snow, and they may be frozen in the ground. So those may not come out till the weather warms up a little bit and things thaw. All right, so that's the weather. So let's talk about something a little bit more serious here. And we touched on this. Well, we didn't touch on it. We did a whole number on this yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live. I am sorry if that upset some people, and it probably did. But I did put out a spoiler alert yesterday in my short and at the beginning of Stephen and Walter Live that we were going to talk about politics. And I have had people write comments, some have been very nasty comments, that my channel is supposed to be all about quilting. They were expecting quilting and sewing. They weren't expecting politics, blah, 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 blah. And you know what I say? Well, I use one of Walter's expressions. Go away. Yeah, and I mean it. Go away. As you've heard me say many times before, it's my channel. What I choose to talk about, or what Walter and I choose to talk about, is strictly up to us. You are not tied down to listen to our opinions about the current state of affairs. Yes, I know the current state of affairs is very upsetting, but you don't have to listen to us. But you should be listening to the news. Now, I have seen a lot of people write comments saying, I can't take it anymore. It's giving me anxiety. It's giving me, you know, I get so worried. It's making me depressed and the whole bit. Yes, it is. I agree. Me too. Me too. But I need to stay up on top of it all. I need to know what's happening. If we don't know what's going on, if we don't make ourselves aware of what's happening, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean it's going to go away. We have to be informed about the state of the world. And when I say the state of the world right now, I mean the states is what I mean. And I think everybody gets that, right? But I'm really worried that people are shutting down because of what's happening. And they're sticking their head like an ostrich in the sand. and hoping it all goes away. Well, we are all hoping it goes away, but it's not going to go away tomorrow, and it's not going to go away by us ignoring it. Um, Basically, you have to watch the news. Now, you can be selective, as I said yesterday, about what news you watch. Watch something that you consider to be reliable information, because there's all kinds of unreliable information out there, as we well know, and we're bombarded with it. So maybe limit your viewing time. I do. I watch one news program a day, as I said yesterday. That's the National. That is a CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation channel. It is a trusted source of information. It is true journalism, and that's where I get my information mostly, is from them. I watch it in the morning while I'm sewing or working on some other things. I have it on in the background. It keeps me up to date. That's all I watch. Occasionally I'll watch some things that usually grab me by clickbait on YouTube, but generally speaking, I limit my news watching. I get what I need to know for the day and move on. And that helps a great deal with stress and, anxiety. Also, yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, I pulled up some information about different topics that have come up, like Trump trying to take over Greenland, and of course, Trump trying to take over Canada. And you'll notice I'm going to say Trump a lot. I am not going to say America or the United States as much, because that would infer that it's the fault of all the American people. It is the fault of the American people, the electorate, okay, in terms of putting Trump into power, okay? But we can't go backwards in time, unfortunately. And I don't think, as a Canadian, I am not mad at Americans. I am mad at the situation that we all find ourselves in with Trump. But let's put the blame where blame is due. And the blame is not due, for the most part, on the American people. Maybe the ones that voted for Trump, yes, to a certain degree. But Trump's doing this. It is not the American people. And I want to make that perfectly clear when I make comments about the situation in the United States and how it's affecting the rest of the world. That it is not the average American citizens who's doing this. It is Trump. So lay the blame where the blame needs to go for all of this. After all, the states, the people of the United States are our good friends, our best friends, really, have been for a long time. And we're not just going to get rid of that overnight because of one asshole. But it is a difficult situation, as we know. We talked yesterday then about, could he actually take over Greenland? And of course, if he takes over Greenland, then he's going to go after Canada with it. Well, a lot of people say no. And when I say a lot of people, I mean people who are in the know about law, politics, things like that, economics. But the media, and this adds to our stress, the media hypes it up. They don't really tell you the reality of the situation. Now, of course, we know we are living in a new reality, and Trump keeps changing that reality. So who knows? But the American people look like they're starting to fight back. And I say great for them. This thing with ICE that's going on, the shootings, the whole bit. American people are getting to the point, I think, where they're saying, we've had enough. And good for you, and keep up the good fight. Because that's the only way you're going to claim your country back and get it back on the right road. Is you have to fight that fascist dictator, Trump. And that is what he is. Isn't it ironic that he just took out one fascist dictator and he's replaced that fascist dictator with another fascist dictator, himself? The man knows no boundaries. And hopefully, the best thing the American people can do is vote in the midterms and take control of your government again. The unfortunate part is, and there's lots of talk about this, will you be having an election in November? Because you know what he's like. He knows, and the people around him know, that if there's another election, his chances are very slim, or at least his party's chances of being in power after that election are somewhat slim, we hope. But if he turns around and declares martial law or something like that and suspends all electoral procedures, yeah, and that's what a fascist dictator would do. And that's what he is. So I think you need to keep your head out of the sand. I think you need to, as much as it's painful, you really need to keep yourself informed by way of the news, a trusted one, and, think about what's happening. Out of sight, out of mind does not apply here at all. And that's what we were talking about yesterday. Now, I know I ruffled some feathers. I ruffled some feathers yesterday because people feel guilty in the United States. And it's a collective guilt. Guilt and shame for what is happening in your country. Again, it isn't really your fault. It's the fault of your government. But ultimately, where does the buck stop? So you have to be what was the old thing they used to have on a television commercial? An informed, or there's a commercial for something, an informed consumer, an educated consumer is our best customer. Well, I think that might apply here as well. So I guess the only thing I can say that might help, and it's not going to help much, to alleviate your anxiety and your stress through this dark time that we're going through, is to know the world is not against you as an American citizen. It is against one person, the great pumpkin that's in your highest office. But please, carry on doing whatever you need to do to resist him, to take him down. Yes. Isn't it funny how we have come to this point? Okay, let's move on to more pleasant topics. And when I'm feeling stressed out, one of the things that really gives me an uplift is looking at my grow lights, at our grow lights here. And I show you these pictures every week. And there is a difference every week because things are growing. Like our lettuce is coming up really nice. We got to start eating it. In fact, I see a little brown leaf back there. So that means, okay, time to gobble it up. And we've got even more of it here. And basil as well. Just saw an interesting YouTube video about keeping basil growing and alive. The ones that you buy in the grocery store and die within a week. He said, well, take them and separate all the little plants out because there's usually like 20 to 30 plants bunched together to make it look really full. And they suggest, whoever I was watching, a gardener of some sort, to take them all apart out of the pot, replant all the little ones. And then he also said something interesting. When you need to prune the plant to make it fuller. So he suggested that you take off a piece, like when you're going to use the basil in cooking, you cut it off at the stem, just above a spot where there's 2 leaves coming out on either side or more of the stem. And so cut above that, use that stuff, and 2 more things will sprout out of that stalk, he said. And he also said to keep it watered well, and it needs a lot of light. So we've got the light, we've got the water, but I have a tendency when I cut basil from this just to whatever's handy and just cut it. So I'll be more conscious of cutting it in the way he has said to cut it and see if that makes a difference. But it's doing pretty good right now. Now, our tomatoes, our jungle, I like to call this the jungle. Tomatoes, we've gotten quite a few off it, but there are still more tomatoes coming on. You can see the green ones peeking out in the foliage. And Walter repotted one of the pepper plants, and you can see, I've got a little closer picture. Here it is. Look at the size of that stem on this pepper plant. Now, don't know whether it's going to produce or not. It may have a bit of a setback with the repotting. By the way, I made the pot. 3D printed that. And this one over here is really like thick stock. It's got one pepper on it, but there are some flowers. So we'll see what happens there. He's got one down here below. You can see he's got another one started, a little sapling, or whatever you want to call it. There it is here in the center. You can see, and it's coming up very nicely. So yeah, so our indoor garden is growing well. Okay, so that takes me to new products. Well, one of the new products that I bought are these. These are little disc lights, and I needed these because I made, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute, I made a desk lamp, a 3D printed desk lamp, and it takes one of these. But I got the wrong ones. The first ones I got had a different type of switch on it, and the way that the desk lamp is designed, it wouldn't have worked with it. So I ordered these ones. Now, these are the same ones you can buy directly from Bamboo at about half the price. I got a package of 3 of these for $16, and I think one of these is about $16 on Bamboo, and they're the same thing. So yeah, know your prices. So what are these going in? This. And now we're into, what can I print that effing thing? And this is exactly what this was. Could I print this and put it together? Well, I did. And the switch I'm talking about goes underneath this little white bar that's here so that you can just push on the bar and you have light. The only thing I don't like about this is the light itself. It isn't that bright. It changes colors though. You can change colors with it, or can you on this one? Maybe that was the other set of lights. Either way, it's really not bright enough. Now maybe if I'd bought the Bamboo light discs, maybe they are brighter. I don't know. I've never bought those before. So, you get what you pay for, maybe. Maybe getting 3 for the price of 1 isn't that great a deal. But I have no place to put it anyways. I just wanted to make it because I thought it was kind of cool. And it worked out okay. So other things. Well, flower pot. I do have my philodendrons upstairs, which are doing very well. Maybe I should have taken a picture of them because they look lovely. And they bring me joy, too. Plants are a great stress reliever. Okay? Never underestimate that. If you're feeling stress right now or pressure from the things going on in the world, go out and get yourself a nice house plant. Yeah. Believe me, it does help. So I've got some that are rooting up there, and I am soon going to need a pot. So I saw this design, and I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. So I made that. It might be a little too big for my purposes, although it did come in 4 different sizes, and I just printed this one. I think there's one slightly bigger than this. I think this is the medium size one. But anyways, yeah. Have a 3D printer, have plants, need pots. Make your own unique pots. Not a problem. Okay, I think that's all I've got to show you there. Yep. So let's turn our attention to an old Stephen and Walter Live, and let's talk about something that right now is a hot topic in the United States, especially healthcare, or in the case of the Americans, lack thereof. And a lot of people look towards us, Canada, and they think, well, yeah, you've got universal health care, such as it is, but you pay a lot in taxes and all that kind of stuff. Well, you want to know something? That's not all totally true. So I found this little clip from one of our Stephen and Walter Lives from way back. I think it was in 2017, 2018, something like that. And so we're talking here about taxes and its relationship to healthcare in Canada.
Travel to Canada, get uptight when that happens. They get to the till and they say, well, it's only $10 and it ends up costing you 13.
Yeah. And Katie says, is that 13% for universal health coverage costs?
No,
No, it's not.
no, health cover, that doesn't cost, our health coverage is separate. Actually, and each province does their health coverage separately. So actually, most Canadians, if you're working, it gets complicated. If you're working, you pay a premium from your
Paycheck.
and it works out to about, I think it's about $60 a month, right?
It automatically comes off at
Yeah.
source.
Yeah, right. But and the employer I worked for paid for it, so I didn't really have to pay it.
Well, we pay it. We pay it in various ways,
Yeah.
but it's kind of hidden in with all of the other taxes we pay.
Right. And the other thing is, so people that can't afford to pay it don't, but they still get health coverage. So
Yeah. So
I mean, it can get a little complicated, but it's not very expensive. So.
Mel says they have 25% VAT in Finland.
Oh yeah, but Finland.
Oh, it's just 24%.
But Finland has a lot of social services that we don't even have. Like, I mean, I think you have healthcare, but I think isn't your old age homes and your universities paid for as well. Whereas here, you still have to pay for university if you go to university. And old age home is subsidized here by the government, but you still have to pay a certain amount yourself.
I'm just catching up here. Lots of Happy New Year greetings to each other on the bunch here. And
and also with our drugs is Ontario has just instituted something new in that any kids under the age of 25 are going to get any prescriptions filled for free or paid by the government. And anybody over the age of 65 and older, gets all their prescriptions filled by the government.
You know, I don't have a problem with the over 65. I do have a problem with the under 25 one. And this is why I have the problem. I don't have a problem that they're getting free drugs in the sense that they're getting free drugs because they're young. They probably don't have careers established, and some kids don't in lower income families too that have younger kids. That's great. But here's the problem is we always get screwed because we're the middle class. So if you're the middle class, you pay for all of this stuff. If you're not poverty stricken, you don't get any breaks. If you make a 6-digit salary, you get breaks.
Okay, see, a lot of Americans don't probably understand this, and they may think that all our prescriptions are free.
No, they're not.
They're not. If you're, right now, if you're over 25 and under 65, you have to pay for all your prescriptions. But most employers have a benefits package where they will cover prescriptions, right? And if you also can pay a certain amount of money into a plan, an Ontario plan that it's only about $12 a month or something like that, and it'll cover catastrophic occurrences where you if you need cancer drugs or something like that, then you're covered. Or AIDS
but not
drugs.
all of them.
No.
Not all of the cancer drugs are covered, and not all.
No. Okay, but then anyway, what the other thing is what was it? Where was I going with that?
I have no idea.
Okay, so yeah, we still have to pay for our drugs. Oh, unless you're in the hospital. If you go to the hospital, then your drugs are covered.
Mel says that healthcare is free or almost free in Finland. Also, education is free, including universities. See, universities are not free here.
No.
Either. And I know in Norway, they also cover the cost of nursing homes and things like that. Yes, their taxes are high too, but you want to know something? I would pay the higher taxes to have to get into nursing homes, like to get all that free and universities free and all that stuff. It would be worth it, I would think, with all of that. But not yet.
So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, we had snow, as I already said, and I already showed you a picture outside our front door for this morning. But here's what things were looking like the middle of this past week.
Yep, we had one day, I think it was Thursday, it just snowed. Started in the night and just sowed pretty much, snowed, not sowed, snowed pretty much through the whole day. And yeah, bit high. Uh, Needless to say, I could not go for a walk because I could not walk in that. So Walter was out there with the snowblower going to town. But you know, it's a bit of a pain in the butt because you've got to shovel it, you got to drive in it, you got to live in it. But it's pretty because look at that. That's looking in the forest behind our house from our deck. And I mean, that is pretty. You have to admit that. So, you know, it's the good, bad, and the ugly. There's the ugly, there's the good. Okay. What else has been taking place in the past week? Not much. Went to a sew day, Walter's group, and I've been going now regularly to that as well because I like the people that are there. It's a small group, and it's nice to get out and sew with, you know, other people besides my usual group. That's not to say that I'm replacing my usual group with Walter's group. Definitely not. Love my sewing group too. But it's nice to have variety. And what else this week? Oh, Russ of Quilt Meets World had a sewing shenanigans day on Sunday. And that's where I got a lot of that quilt done. It was not a snowy, but a sewing weekend between Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, so very productive. I found it very productive. So what's coming up? Walter's birthday. Technically, his birthday doesn't come up for another week, but we're going into Toronto for 2 nights. We've got a hotel room. We're taking the commuter train in, which here in Ontario is called the GO train. And we're going to play tourist. Just walk around the streets of downtown Toronto and do whatever we want to do. There is a thing I want to see. We want to go to. It's called Little Canada. It's a miniature version of the entire country. Of, you know, all the capital cities and different things and all laid out. It's supposed to be quite interesting. And it's huge, apparently. So we might check that out. Of course, we're going out for his birthday dinner. I'm taking him to the Keg. Now, you've heard us talk about the Keg before. It's a steakhouse chain here in Canada, and we love it. But there's a special Keg in downtown Toronto called the Keg Mansion. And as the name suggests, it is in an old kind of mansion house, which might be kind of unique. So we have reservations for that, and so we'll be doing that. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to that because it's January. It's dull out. It's cold. It's snowy. It's dark. You know, we need some excitement, don't we? And just to get our minds off of everything else that's happening in this world. We all need a little staycation kind of thing. Okay, so that's it for me today. Tune in tomorrow for the Idiot Quilter as usual. So Chatty this week. There may be a So Chatty, there may not be a So Chatty because usually we do the So Chatty on Fridays and we're not going to be home on Friday. But we could, well, since we record them in advance anyways, we could record it in advance and just schedule it to come out on Friday. You'll never know the difference, except I just told you. So we'll see how that goes. So if you don't see a So Chatty this week, if you follow it on a regular basis, not to worry, we'll be back the week after. I have a feeling we'll have a So Chatty this week, though. Okay, I hope you have a good week, and I hope you don't let the situation keep informed, but don't let it eat your soul. And we'll see you later. Bye for now.